Right now, the lightning rod of DC talk is Netflix's Ted Sarandos at a Senate hearing, which somehow went from discussing the 45-day theater window to the case against James Gunn's Superman, per the Snyderbros diehards that are wanting to restore his flopped DCEU verse. I wanted to start this off quickly with Christian Harlow right away before we jump into the full Hubbub content.
One of the biggest things that people are nervous about with Netflix is the theatrical releases. Well, Ted Sarandos is making it clear that they are committed to theatrical releases when this goes through. We didn't buy this company to destroy that value. We're deeply committed to releasing Warner Brothers movies exactly the way they release those movies today. If we did this deal 24 months ago, all those movies we saw this year do so well at the box office for Warner Brothers would have been released in the same way in theaters, talking about Minecraft, Superman, Weapons, Sinners, all of those movies.
Interesting. Let's look at this part of Ted Sarandos from that Variety article back in December, just before this brand new year rang in. Those movies we saw this year do so well at the box office for Warner Brothers would have been released in the same way in theaters. Talking about Minecraft, Superman, Weapons, Sinners, all those movies. Wait a minute. Those movies that did so well at the box office, per Ted, were Minecraft, Superman, Weapons, and Sinners. Once more, Superman listed in his movies that did so well? Yes, Superman, Gunn's Superman. All right, folks, let's get into the regularly scheduled programming. So, what's the hubbub? This is a full, irrefutable debunking of Snyderbro channels on the recent twisting of words they are trying to do towards Ted Sarandos of Netflix, which, believe me, if there is a follow-up clarification by Ted, it won't be in your favor.
This is not going to end well for you guys.
As some of you know, he went to Washington to discuss and defend Netflix regarding antitrust concerns at a Senate hearing, as they intend to complete their acquisition of the WBD. The Snyderbros, who are the Zack Snyder DCEU only fans, are triggered by James Gunn,
I want the gun,
in charge of the active DCU as the DCEU, also called the SnyderVerse, is dead. They will cope and say Ted is now lying if he clarifies there was not intent to imply that Superman underperformed. No smoke and mirrors here. This is a massive takedown, folks. They don't have facts or ability to research into topics to even do rebuttals, as they focus more on slogans to bow to their Restore Snyder crowd. Total clown shows. The only reason I'm covering this again is because I'm exploring a lot of new ground and points I didn't get to prior. By the end of this video, I will have proven he did not say or even mean to infer Superman underperformed. This will be the definitive video that debunks this. Let's get started and look at this exchange one more time between Ted Sarandos of Netflix and Senator Booker.
They need to know that people are looking out for them. And we are looking out for them. It is the industry standard for self-enforcement. However, routinely, movies that underperform, the window moves a little bit. And Superman was a little shorter window and Sinners was a little longer window, but they still could refer to it as a 45-day window.
Primarily, as the senator set the topic stage, Ted talked about the 45-day release window as being flexible and not rigid as a rule.
Used to be, along with other great American sort of institutional experiences that brought people together across backgrounds, sitting in a theater. You and I both grew up in
Yes, sir.
with that in a way that I think is a cherished reality.
The usual Snyderbros are trying to weaponize his words with a different context. Others may legitimately be confused, as Tyrone Magnus alluded towards.
And he says, and Superman, it was a little shorter, so it was a little longer. It's all depending on how you interpret this. I need something that's some hard facts. You know what I'm saying? I do believe, I get why people are running with this. I do get why people are running with this. But something in the way this language is, the way he delivers it, it isn't absolute the way he delivers it. So I think that some people are going to hear it as it definitely underperforming, and some people are going to hear it as him talking about two separate things.
Since his words ran together, basically Ted was making two separate remarks and points which ran together, sounding like one point to some. I'll dive more into that later. Truthfully, he appeared extremely nervous and not as composed as I'd expect from someone of his position to be. Let's look at three movies which together prove he didn't actually say Superman underperformed. These movies are Sinners, Superman, and Minecraft. Sinners made $368 million worldwide. It went on VOD 47 days after its theater release, with a total run of 91 days in theaters. Superman made $617 million worldwide. Domestically alone, it did $355 million, which is nearly what Sinners did in its worldwide total. Superman went on VOD day 35 into its total theater release of 84 days. James Gunn stated the VOD change to August 15th was to ensure audiences could watch it before Peacemaker's Season 2 premiere on August 22nd. Quoting specifically, he said, "Well, it's very complicated, but the truth is, it is because of Peacemaker. I originally thought Peacemaker's HBO Max release date was going to be coming out next month. Now let's look at Minecraft. Minecraft went to VOD on day 39, but had a total theater run of about 90 days. If you are trying to state any movie that moves up the VOD is underperforming, then I will ask a rhetorical question. Are you saying Minecraft is a flop? It went to VOD early, before 45 days as well. The movie made about $1 billion. That's right, even in the superhero boom era, a figure that Zack Snyder directed DCEU. SnyderVerse movies never achieved either. In fact, Man of Steel, which came out at a time Marvel did $1.3 billion with an Iron Man sequel, only did in the $600 million as a moderate success. It also came out before COVID and the streaming world changes that have impacted theaters. Next up, I have some reactions here. Also, just a reminder, folks, make sure to please visit the post section of my channel after this video. If you're a subscriber, I put updates there as well to keep you in the loop. If you're not yet subscribing, please do so to help my small channel out for spreading the word on the Hubbub. And hey, it's easy to tap the notification bell. It will let you know when my latest content drops. A lot of news, updates, and reactions of DCU versus DCEU civil debate discussion. With that said, let's run the highlight reel of reactions, and I'll give you my take on everything.
This article where, if I push the right button, confirmation, of course, that yes, even though they said that it made $100 million eventually, theatrically, that original Forbes article saying that it lost $42 million is 100% correct. James Gunn lied when he said they released it earlier just to sync up with Paramount, or rather Peacemaker, and it is, of course, because it just wasn't getting the numbers, as opposed to a Sinners, which was getting the numbers and they kept it in. Shocking how that works.
James Gunn's Superman movie was a failure. They had to put it on streaming to do something with it. It wasn't the right choice. The right choice would have been to erase it completely.
Superman barely did more than Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. All right, he barely did more than that. And here it is. People out there are trying to portray the box office results as some major win or a huge hit.
Now we see what's happening with Netflix on Capitol Hill. You've got the Gunn crowd is just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, okay? It doesn't matter the smoke that they blow. At the end of the day, Superman was not the hit they claimed it was. And anybody who tells you otherwise is lying.
Sinners overperformed, therefore got 45 plus days in theaters because it was making money. Superman underperformed. He only got like 32 days, but as he's trying to tell Cory Booker that can still be considered the 45. So what he's basically saying, they will only consider the full 45 days if the movie is performing well. If it's not performing well, then they're not going to commit to the 45 day.
See, that's common sense. When movies do good, they stay in theaters longer. When movies do bad, they get pulled earlier. Common sense right here, but we know the people who like to defend James Gunn don't really have much.
Of course, some of them don't bring the facts. I mean, you have Count Who Is He. All right, he's kind of entertaining, out there looking like a Saturday Night Live sketch, written in the form of fake gun outrage. It's like a Donald Trump meets...
They're 100% legit. I love those files. I'm in the files. I took a lot of great pictures.
Okay.
ex-Bears coach Mike Ditka impersonation.
You know, believe it or not, Bob, according to the odds makers, San Francisco is favored to win the Super Bowl.
San Francisco, huh? Well, then you know who's going to be happy about that, then, huh? Duck queers. Duck queers.
Just bad theater, but funny to laugh at. And hey, look at 4KO thinking that the Aquaman sequel hitting 430 million is close to Superman at 617 million.
Did you bring water?
Yeah. No, sorry. I drank it all the way here.
What?
Bro, it's hot up there.
Yet these Snyderbros act like Man of Steel did so much more at 670 million. The hilarious cope. That's right, folks. Gunn's Superman did in the 600 millions as well, beating all three Marvel movies of 2025, being the top superhero movie of the year. I'd call it a moderate success as well. It wasn't a blockbuster smash hit, but avoided being a flop and meant more DCU to be on the way. I'm probably giving the Snyderbros indigestion, because unlike them, I actually bothered to research what I'm going to discuss, much like BobaTalks, who I think is the gold standard of DCU coverage.
We already knew that Superman arguably underperformed internationally. It did well domestically. It was well received by audiences and critics, and on the bottom line, made money. It certainly could have done a lot better with its theatrical revenue, specifically that revenue stream, in addition to all of the other revenue streams that allowed it to make said money, whether that be, again, premium video on demand sales, merch sales, this and that other sales. But to say this is like the takeaway, to say it was an overall flop or failure derived from the word being used here, underperformed, just isn't true.
Shout out to Boba, by the way. I think that's crucial to deep dive the research. If you're going to dive into these topics, just food for thought. Ted has already been on record calling Superman a success before, so to all of a sudden say it underperformed would be bizarre, especially since its domestic alone almost totaled Sinner's full worldwide take. As you can see here, he included Superman in his list of movies that did well at the box office. There you go. Ted is describing industry flexibility at this Senate's antitrust hearing. He is not singling out Superman. He was there to defend Netflix in their WBD acquisition. The key phrase he made is, "It is the industry standard for self-enforcement." That means the 45-day window is a guideline, not a rigid rule. Studios regularly adjust it both up and down for many reasons, like marketing strategy, release calendar shifting, streaming needs, or franchise planning, such as James Gunn aligning Superman's VOD timing with Peacemaker's Season 2 premiere during his nervous TED Talk. I'll call it in Capitol Hill. He makes two separate points. Some are trying to hear it as being one thing when it isn't. The first point he makes is some movies may go way sooner, missing the standard window. The second point is though both Superman and Sinners were successful, they were able to adjust as needed and still be considered within the 45-day standard. Even though Sinners went a couple days longer and Superman about a week and a half sooner, his intent was to basically point out that Netflix isn't rocking the world of theatrical releases, as they already work within a flexibility as needed towards home release periods, the copium reaches new heights, but the Snyderverse is still buried. Let's look at some of the recent news for a moment. Supergirl is now getting positive screen test buzz.
Who are you?
Watch what will happen. If it's good, now they will say it's not a James Gunn project, as it was directed by Craig Gillespie. If the movie were to be universally panned, they will say it's a James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which still is an odd insult looking at how well that trilogy did. Also in the news, a rumor which I've covered a bit prior, James Gunn may very well be getting brave and the bold in development. Soon after Man of Tomorrow, the World of Real shared the following: to be filed again under rumor. The Hot Mike's Jeff Snyder is hinting that James Gunn might actually direct the DCU's The Brave and the Bold. While this would certainly be a major development, it should be noted that Gunn had publicly expressed a desire to direct a Batman movie, even though he has spoken extensively about the challenges of handling the character. Officially, Andy Muschietti is still attached to helm The Brave and the Bold, but many have speculated about his potential exit ever since. The Flash bombed and the DCU went in a totally different direction under Gunn's reign. That's an interesting read, and I personally think Andy will still direct. Gunn, having held on to him, could prove to be a wise decision after the buzz of the Welcome to Derry series. Regardless of who directs, if that happens, we are locked in with the DCU over the next 5 years. Too many projects overlapping to cancel it. Get out some jam to spread on the Snyderverse. Gunn keeps winning, and the Restore Snyder theatrics are toast. With that, it's today's Hubbub. No Snyderverse, no problem.